Hello, hello. Let me see. Are we live? Yes, we are. All right. How is everyone feeling today? As you can see, I'm live from a different place as I just got back to Morocco. So for those that are new in our community, I spent about 3 months in Morocco last year and I loved it so much that I thought, why not go back? And that's where I am. That's where I am, but I'm in a different place. So I am still trying to figure out what the Wi-Fi is like. If I'm cutting off or you can't hear me, please let me know so that I know that as well and I can take it into account, find a different place, or do something about the Wi-Fi situation. So hello, everyone on Facebook. Hello, everyone on Instagram. It's so great to be here with you today. We're here for our weekly live training, on Wednesdays. And I am super excited to share this particular topic with you because I'm going to speak about 3 words that you can no longer use teaching yoga in English. Me saying that you can no longer use them already speaks about something that you do not want to use anymore. And I'm going to explain why. Because can no longer use puts a lot of limitation, right, on your language, your communication, and the way that you speak to your students. And this limitation is something that we often see in our yoga classes. It's something that I really would like for you all to unlearn and no longer do or no longer use in your yoga classes. And I'm going to explain to you why, right? I'm going to explain to you why. So every day, let's dive into this topic straight away. Every day, especially now that we're going to start the Teach with Confidence mini course very soon. If you haven't registered already, sign up through the link in my bio. It's a 3-day mini course to help you learn how to find the right words teaching yoga in English. And because of that, and even before that, every day I get messages from people that ask me about how to choose the right words for teaching yoga in English. How do I find the right words? Oh, Pau says I'm cutting out. I was worried about this. Let me see if I can change the Wi-Fi quickly and go to a different one. There's no other ones showing up here right now. Let's see. Is this getting any better? Is this getting any better? I really hope so. Let me know, write in the comments, because for me it's all fine on this side, but obviously I can't see what you receive. So let me know if you can actually see and hear me all right. If not, usually on Facebook it's a little bit better. All right. So I'm in the meantime, I'm recording the video and hopefully you can hear and see it. And otherwise, I'm just going to do the training again another day. So let me know in the comments. Is it getting any better? Maybe it needs a little bit more time to get used to. And on Facebook as well, let me know if you can hear and see me all right. Hi, Krab Yogi. Nice to see you. Let's see on Facebook. Everybody watching on Facebook, let me know. Can you hear and see me all right? And I really hope so, because I think this is going to be a really, really valuable training for you. Right. So I'm not seeing any comments. So I'm assuming it's all good. If it's not, I will do the training again. I promise you that. So like I said, every day I get messages from people asking, how do I choose the right words to teach yoga in English? And learning a language takes time. And from time to time, it can be really confusing and really overwhelming. Because to make a language your own, to feel really confident, to feel confident teaching it, speaking it, there's a lot to think of, a lot to remember, but also a lot to study, right? There's a lot of language points that you want to study to make it your own. Now, especially in the beginning, this can be really overwhelming. Yeah, and it's really overwhelming trying to learn everything at once as well. So in today's training, I'm not going to explain all the words that you need to know to teach yoga in English, but instead I want to help you unlearn 3 words that you do not want to use anymore. Yeah, and at the end of the training, I'm going to give you a little task to think about words and alternatives, or maybe even synonyms and antonyms to replace these 3 words, or that you can use instead. All right? So, to introduce the topic, let me explain a little bit about the background of these 3 words. The 3 words that you can no longer use. And the background refers to English grammar. And I love English grammar. I used to teach English in general for exams and for... Crab Yoga says the internet connection isn't good. Right. Let me write in the comments. And, well, give me a moment. I'm going to try and switch to a different Wi-Fi. On Facebook, everyone, let me know, because it seems like it's fine there. Let's see. Are there any other Wi-Fis? Looks like there's no other Wi-Fi available here. It's weird because on my laptop, I'm connected to a different one. Let's see. Yeah, it's a different one. All right. Let's try again. Is this working better? All right, let me know in the comments. If it's not working better, I'm going to write in the comments so you can read. If it's getting better. If it's not, I will... Oh, it's paused already due to poor connection. No. Okay, what about now? No, it says videos paused. Is it still paused? Because I see... Hi, Julia, nice to see you. Let's see if it's still paused. Right now, I've got 3 bars of Wi-Fi, so it should be all right. And on my laptop, it's the same, but please let me know. And I'm going to try and find another solution. Good morning. All right, this seems to be all right. All right, so Maris, that's here in the room as well, she's in the same building. Please let me know if you are receiving it. Are you receiving it? Better. Okay, cool. It's better now. All right, let's pray for the internet gods to be working until the rest of the training. And I will just start again. Yeah, I will start again so that we can really catch up from the beginning, right? So I started explaining the topic of today, and it's a really, really fun topic because it's all about English grammar and words that you do not want to use in your yoga classes anymore. All right. So as I started off explaining, every day I get a lot of messages from people that want to know how they can choose the right words to teach yoga in English. Like, what are the words really that I need to learn? And I explained as well that learning a language takes time. It really takes time. And from time to time as well, it can be super confusing, a little bit overwhelming, especially when you first start to learn. There's a lot of things that you need to remember, a lot of things that you need to study, and a lot of things that you need to repeat and think of. And it can be a little bit overwhelming, right? So especially in the beginning, when you're trying to learn everything at the same time, everything at once, there's a lot. And we really don't need all of this for teaching yoga. Now, instead of focusing on all the things that you need to learn, I want to focus on 3 words that you already know, or I assume that you already know, and why you need to unlearn them so that you can focus on language that you do want to use in your yoga classes. So I'm not going to explain all the words that you need to know, but instead help you unlearn 3 words that you no longer want to use. And at the end of the training, I'm going to give you a little task, a little bit of homework to think about words or phrases, synonyms and antonyms that you can use instead of these 3 words. So the reason why we don't want to use these anymore is that most of the time in yoga classes, these words are either considered non-inclusive, trauma activating, or they are really ineffective because they don't give your students a lot of room to self-explore. Yeah. So I want to give you a little bit of background in terms of English for yoga and English grammar. So the grammar that you learn when you study for exams or when you go to general English classes. It's better. I'm really great to hear, Julia. Amazing. So for those that have studied English as a foreign language, you may be familiar with modal verbs. And modal verbs are auxiliary verbs that express, for example, necessity or probability, but also possibility, ability, permission, requests, suggestions, obligations. These are words that really indicate a lot of different things. So for example, think of the words must, might, can, or could. We use these words to explain that something is certain, it's possible, or impossible. Or think of can, can't, be able to speak about ability, something that you can do. Or may, would, and could, to ask permission or to make requests. Yeah, as you can see, there are many types of modal verbs. And in general, our daily conversations, all these modal verbs are super useful and sometimes really necessary. But it's funny that in English language classes, learning how to use these modal verbs is really important. It's a really important grammar point. However, in the world of yoga, especially when you teach yoga, some of these modal verbs are really ineffective, or worse, super activating. So activating means that you're provoking or that you're reminding people of certain things, of trauma or negative past experiences. So the modal verbs can either be activating, non-inclusive, or ineffective. So for the purpose of this training, I'm not going into all the details of what modal verbs are and how you can use them and when you use them. If you want to have a training on modal verbs and how and when you use them in a yoga class, write in the comments so I can do that in another training. But for the purpose of this training, I want to focus on 3 modal verbs that you don't want to use anymore. Yeah. To verb to be, please. What about it, Julia? What about the verb to be? Tell me. So now going back to those modal verbs, the modal verbs that can be activating, non-inclusive, or effective in a yoga class, which types do you think these are? Which types of modal verbs do you think these are? Write in the comments. Remember, I spoke about modal verbs for probability, possibility, for ability, for prohibition, suggestions, obligations, requests, permission. Which of these modal verbs do you think are non-inclusive, ineffective, or activating? Which do you think are they? I'm not going to home. I'm going to go to sleep after lunch. Is this what you're currently doing, Julia? Or are you asking about the verbs that you want to use? All right, you just had lunch. I just had lunch. You're going to go for a nap. You're going to go for a siesta. All right. So modal verbs that are non-inclusive, ineffective, or activating are modal verbs of ability and obligation. Remember that yoga is all about self-exploration. It's about empowerment and allowing your students to find their own expression. A lot of it is about learning to listen to your body, become self-aware, become self-acceptant. It's all about taking ownership and going back to the root of one's own existence and accepting that. So modal verbs of obligation and some modal verbs of ability deny this self-exploration. So I'm going to give you a few examples for you to look at and maybe think of the way that you cue or speak to people to see if these are the words that you use too. Yeah, so modal verbs of obligation or ability. Not all of the verbs, but 3 of them that I'm going to explain to you too. Number 1 is should, right? Should. Should is used for obligation, advice, and recommendations. And it often can be replaced for the verb have to, right? So think of this cue. In reverse warrior, some people know it as peaceful warrior. So we're in a warrior 2 stand with one of the arms overhead. So in reverse warrior, you should feel a deep stretch along the side of your body. In reverse warrior, you should feel a deep stretch along the side of your body. Now, why is this non-inclusive or a limited, explains a limited range of ability, right? Should in this sentence indicates that something has to or must be there. If you do not feel that stretch in your side body, you're doing something wrong. If students can't feel the deep side stretch and you use the word should, they may think that they're doing something wrong, they are different, they are not aligned enough, and they doubt themselves. When using should in a cue, you're taking ownership of your students. Yeah, you're taking ownership of their sensations. They don't feel for themselves anymore, but now you decide how they feel or what they should feel. So you devalue their own experience if they don't exactly feel what you think should feel, all right? So should is a word that you do not want to use anymore. And Ilona says, you might, very nice. You might is a really, really great way to replace the word should. So at the end of the training, I'm going to give you a little task, but this is a really, really great alternative. So no more shoulds, no more shoulds. Number 2 is a word, modal verb, can't. So this one, can, speaks in this sentence, or especially in the context of yoga, about ability. You no longer want to use can't speaking about ability, possibility, or permission. Yeah, so no more can't if you speak about ability, possibility, or permission. For example, in a wide-legged forward fold, if your hands can't touch the floor, place a block underneath. your hands or place a block underneath them to find more length. So if your hands can't touch the floor, place a block underneath them to find more length. This cue has all the right intentions because you're offering another option, you're including props, and you're trying to make your class inclusive and more accessible. So I really admire this if this is something that you do. It really shows that you're taking into account different experiences. However, can't indicates a limitation of ability. So when your students feel like they can't do something, they may believe that they aren't flexible enough or strong enough or simply not capable. And this includes the risk that your students start to think yoga isn't for them, that they don't have this so-said perfect yoga body. And those beliefs, yoga isn't for them, or they don't have a yoga body, those beliefs are myths, right? And as a yoga teacher, it's your responsibility to empower your students to find their own variations. If their hands can't touch the floor, that's absolutely fine, but give them options and suggestions to help them find what feels good without emphasizing what they can't do. Yeah. So if you want, you can try with a block. Very nice. But how? Yeah. In this case, we're missing how. But that's for another day. But definitely instead of can't, if you want to. Really nice. So next to using can't for ability, you no longer want to use can't to speak about permission or rules. Yeah. So can't can be used in different contexts. Now, think of cues or general communication that don't allow your students to do something. For example, you can't leave the room until after Savasana, or you can't open your eyes until we finish the meditation. Yeah, this way, or the way in which you use can't in these situations, limits your students' ownership again. Because right now, you're telling them what to do and what they can or can't do. And you're playing the boss. You're the boss of the actions that they take. And also, if you can't leave a room or if you can't open your eyes, this can be really, really trauma-provoking or activating past negative experiences. So can't, in terms of ability and permission, be very, very, very careful. Then number 3 is need to. Need to is very similar to can't. And especially when we speak about ability, it's also used to give suggestions and recommendations. And often, just like can't, it's used with the best of intentions. I do think that most yoga teachers use it to really show that they think about their students. But the word need to in itself isn't very inclusive. So think of these words or these cues. If you need to use a block, if you need to take a rest, if you need to catch your breath, if you need to place your hands on the floor to find balance, now if you need to place your hands, excuse me, place your hands on the floor to find balance. Again, just like can't, need to is used with the best intentions. And like I said, I don't believe there's any yoga teacher out there that uses need to highlight inability or difference. But just like can't, the verb need to puts a lot of emphasis on inability and limitation of, for example, balance, motor skills, on strength, flexibility, or even endurance. Yeah, your stamina. So to give you some food for thought, yeah, I've shared with you 3 words that you no longer want to use. And I'm going to give you a little bit of homework. Yeah, going to give you a little bit of homework. So your homework is think of verbs and other words that highlight or emphasize limitation, lack of ability, or simply take away ownership, or your independence of the students. So instead of using the words can't, should, or need to, I invite you to take a moment, sit down, grab a pen and paper, and find synonyms or alternatives, maybe even antonyms of phrases that maybe mean the same thing, but sound more gentle and inclusive, that give your students a little bit more option to find their own self-expression. Yeah, think of words that have a similar meaning, but are expressed in a different way or received in a different way. Yeah, and write down all the terms that give your students more freedom, words that are more motivating, more encouraging, words that help your students to explore their own practice, or words that help your students find their own expressions, or find ways in which they connect to their own senses, sensations, and also their own authenticity, their self-practice. Yeah, so to summarize, words that you no longer want to use, and we really want to have a look at model verbs of ability, permission, and obligation. And the 3 words that you no longer want to use anymore are can't, should, and need to. And what I want you to do right now is think about this for yourself and write down some synonyms or alternatives that you can use to give your students more freedom and more ownership or independence in their practice. Yeah, so I really hope this was useful. Write down in the comments if you have any questions. Write down if you want to have feedback maybe on your words as well. And like I said, if you do want to know more about model verbs and how we can use them in yoga, teaching yoga, write in the comments or send me a private message in the DMs on Facebook, on Instagram, or at my email, annie@engaunite.com, so I can dedicate a training specifically to how to use model verbs in yoga. Yeah. So write down if you have any questions. Now, if you haven't already, sign up to the mini course on Instagram. You can find the link in my bio, and on Facebook, it's beneath the description of this training. I would love to see you there. It's happening from the 10th to 12th of March, and you can register for free until the 10th of March. We already have over 450 people joining us, so it would be amazing to also see you there. Yeah, 3 days in which we're going to focus on learning words to cue in an effective way, but also in an authentic way. We're going to have a look at how to write your cues, so your sentence structure. And I'm going to give you 6 steps to teach with confidence. Yeah, so I hope to see you there. Any questions, write to me, and I will see you next week for a weekly training. I'm quickly going to double check what it's about, because next week it's already, I think it's the 29th of February or the 1st of March. I'm really bad with numbers. Give me a quick moment. Quick moment. It's loading. We're going to speak about so many topics, and I've planned all of them quite a while in advance. It's about outdated cues. Yeah, the reason why we don't want to use outdated cues and what they are really. What are outdated cues? So cues that are also no longer inclusive and accessible for your students. I hope to see you there. It's next Wednesday, 4 p.m. Central European Time. On Friday this week, I'm going to be live with Offering Tree to speak about how to boost your online presence as a yoga teacher. So that will be on Friday at 5 p.m. Central European Time. And we've got a lot of really fun community interviews coming up with previous students. So I hope to see you all there. Have a look on the Facebook page, because all the events will be there very soon. And in the meantime, any questions, just write to me, and I will see you very soon live here again. All right, have a great rest of your day, and speak to you soon. Goodbye, everyone.